Hi, I'm Maggie, and this is my presentation on W.E.B. Du Bois. As you can see, he was dedicated to his own education, most notably the first African American male to receive a doctorate from Harvard University, which attending Harvard as an African American in that time was completely unheard of. His dissertation was published #1 in the Harvard Historical Series, and after which he went on to being a prolific speaker and writer on the life of an African American. He lived through both the Constructionist and the Civil War or civil rights eras, and so he spoke and wrote constantly about the life of the African American, and most notably his book The Black Reconstruction in America 1860 to 1880 remains the best single source on its subject, even though it came under heavy scrutiny for pointing out the history of racism in America. His contributions to education: he was a sociologist who spoke and wrote about the impact of slavery and the oppression of African American people, and he fought against the popular disinformation, which was extremely dehumanizing at that time. He advocated for broad liberal arts education at the college level, so he would have been considered, as far as the psychology of teaching, Reconstructionism with perennial influences. He was one of the founders of the NAACP and served as editor for Crisis for several years, which was their publication. And as far as his attitudes towards teaching, he was passionate about his subject, which is most important. He was passionate about ensuring equality in education and eradicating false ideas about African Americans. Where he fell in Danielson's framework most significantly would be Domain 2, establishing the environment for learning, providing African American students with a safe and supportive environment to foster adequate classroom learning. Kunin's research: he believed in pushing students to succeed, and he was actively engaging. He conducted hours of research into the progress made by African Americans and enlisted his students in this exciting undertaking. He developed a system of establishing credibility when conducting academic research. So this is a quote from one of the websites that I found, and I'm going to show you in a moment these hand-drawn illustrations that he and his students did. And the reason why this was important was because at the time there was popular misinformation claiming that whites were a superior race based on Darwinian evolution. And so he put in hours of research with him and his students to disprove and discredit those false ideas. And now I'm going to show you this video.
Between me and the other world, there is ever an unasked question. Unasked by some through feelings of delicacy, by others through the difficulty of rightly framing it. Instead of saying directly, "How does it feel to be a problem?" they say, "I know an excellent colored man in my town," or "Do not these southern outrages make your blood boil?" At these I smile, or reduce the boiling to a simmer, as the occasion may require. To the real question, how does it feel to be a problem, I answer seldom a word. And yet being a problem is a strange experience. It dawned upon me with a certain suddenness that I was different from the others, shut out from their world by a vast veil. For the world I longed for and all its dazzling opportunities were theirs, not mine. Why did God make me an outcast and a stranger in mine own house? It is a peculiar sensation, this double consciousness, this sense of always looking at one's self through the eyes of others. One feels his two-ness, an American, a Negro. Two souls, two thoughts, two unreconciled strivings, two warring ideals in one dark body, whose dogged strength alone keeps it from being torn asunder. The history of the American Negro is the history of this strife, this longing to attain self-conscious manhood, to merge his double self into a better and truer self. In the days of bondage, they thought to see in one divine event the end of all doubt and disappointment. Slavery was, indeed, the sum of all villainies, the cause of all sorrow, the root of all prejudice. Emancipation was the key to a promised land of sweeter beauty than ever stretched before the eyes of wearied Israelites. Years have passed away, 10, 20, 30, and yet, the freed man has not yet found in freedom his promised land.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to do this research and to present this information to you.